Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grow.
I just pulled this little plant out and it is pretty, but it's so invasive. It doesn't make a flower. This is its little bloom right here, and I think it's unique and pretty. That's why I purchased it. But it puts seeds everywhere. They come up everywhere. I've already pulled bukus of these up. I thought I had them all taken care of, but as you can see I did not, and this one was hiding from me to the point it got this big before I realized I had a little problem growing. Today is June the 3rd, and the nurseries are putting on their 25% off and 50% off sales. So yes, I did go ahead and get some more black and blue salvia. I'm not sure if I did the right thing, but I've got to find a way to save this over winter because it's a soft perennial. So it is a perennial, but only if the winter is good enough for it to come back. So I've got to find another way to save this, or else truly let it go instead of just saying I'm going to and then waiting for a sale to go ahead and purchase some more. And I purchased these little plants. Some of the things that you just want to fill in holes that didn't make it, or for some other reason. And this one is a purple salvia, which I do have a hole where a purple salvia didn't make it, which this will fill that in, and then I'll have 3 more to put somewhere else. So I'm planning on planting again today. And also these little ones came from our local Ace store nursery, and it was just wonderful to shop there today. I know these don't look so great, but at half price they look wonderful to me. And there's some great plants here too. I just love the little trailing vinca, which that's what this one is, as well as this one. And then I got some, I believe these are the impatiens, there's a bug, but these are the New Guinea impatiens, yes. And these are lovely too, so I will definitely find a spot for those. This one doesn't look like it has much of a chance, but it is a pretty lantana, so we're going to give it a try. And it's pink, so verbena, actually it's a verbena. So I'm going to try to get all of these going somewhere, find a spot for them. And I didn't point out that this one is the lady's mantle, and I am not sure I can grow this. I have not ever been able to, and I have tried it several times, but for the half price sale I decided to try it again. Also purchased this is a vining black-eyed Susan, and I did get another one of the Dachondra, which I love how this grows through the season when it just drapes down and looks so beautiful. This is an annual butterfly weed, and it has some pretty bright red colors with some yellow in there. My lamb's ear has not done well for me. It's died out every time, so I got another one of it to try, and I'm going to put some of that in-ground cactus soil in the ground and put this in it and hope that will make a difference. And then I got an annual hibiscus because they're so bright and beautiful. It's such a big beautiful bloom, and I'm going to put this in my down under pot. That's what I had in it last year, and it looked great there. And I purchased this little pink bacopa. Isn't it darling? And I had just one little hole in this pot. Otherwise it's pretty much all filled out and looking great. And that little bacopa, if it will live, and I think it has a good chance in this type of pot, and it gets plenty of sun, but it also gets some shade, so I'm hoping it will do well here. And I normally do put all my pots together myself just because it's cheaper, and I just don't usually pay that much for an already filled out pot when I can do one myself. Not that I wouldn't like to sometimes, because they have some gorgeous ones that are hard to pass up until you look at the price tag, and that usually makes it easier to pass it on by. But while I was getting half price things, I purchased this. Isn't this lovely? You know I love the strawberry drop collie. As it trails down, it will just keep on getting so beautiful. I'll probably have to clip some of this off before it's over. And then this is an impatient, but I'm not sure if it's one of these pretty red and white star impatiens, or if it's one of these. Look at this. I just love I love impatiens period, but this is a double impatient. I found these a little bit harder to find, and they just look like miniature roses. They're so gorgeous, and this may be another one of those on this side when it fills out. Either way, it'll be beautiful. And I know I have one of the double impatiens. I looked for these and was not able to find them, but I have some now. And this whole pot, it looks just gorgeous to me, and I know it's got to kind of fill out and shape up a little. Probably needs a little food by now. I need to start putting some liquid food on mine. I did use Osmoscote type of plant food on when I planted mine. Of course, I didn't plant this one, so I don't know if it has any on it or not, but I know it's a gorgeous little plant, or a little container garden, and I love it. And today these little volunteers are coming up and going someplace else, because these are right in my path and I don't want to have to step over them to walk through here. There is also another little bunch of them growing right here, and same with that. It's just not a good place for them, but I think I can find some pretty places for pink, all I could think of was pink strawberry drop coleus, because that's what we were talking about. But these are actually pink gomphrena, or strawberry fields. And I hope to get the weeds out of this. I'm sure these are weeds. They look like purslane moss, but they're a purslane weed I do not want in my garden. There's several of them growing up here and in the ground, and that's just going to be a real problem if I don't take care of them while they're small. They will really get out of hand. They're out of hand now, but I want to get these up, and I want to put some pretty flowers in this pot also. I don't think I showed you the ones that I did yesterday. I just got so busy I didn't even have time to talk. So but this little one, I put periwinkle and a pretty little trailing double petunia in. All that I'm going to show you now probably won't look like much to you, but hopefully they will just be the beginning of something beautiful. And these, I just put little mosses in them. I think most all of these are probably just rose moss, but there may be some purslane moss in these pots also. I just think even a tiny pot, even if it's just a decorative little pot, looks better with something growing in them, and purslane and rose moss just do that wonderfully. Actually, so do the little succulents, but sometimes they even come back. I had them come back several years in these little pots and didn't even have to do anything to them, but there's also many years that I have had to go ahead and put new plants in them because the others just didn't make it through the winter. I did a lot of just the little pots that won't look like much at all right now, but they just look better to me with something in them. Look at this beautiful lemon fluff bloom. I just love these, and they have not been a problem for me, but I did read that this is also called an obnoxious weed. So I would say plant this little plant at your own discretion. And I may be out here one year saying, I wish I'd have never put this in here. But right now, isn't it uniquely pretty? I'm going to have to spray again. These are the little bugs that I was trying to tell you about in the last post, and I couldn't find any. And I was grateful that I couldn't, because these are mean, ugly little bugs, and they even fly. There, those will not fly. They are gone. And I did this little pot, filled out the top of it, and all around it I have the daylilies, the Stella d'Or daylilies. And I just went ahead and put my Gerbera daisy and a little double petunia in this pot. And this is, of course, this is my shepherd's hook that I purchased recently, and I put some begonias and impatiens in this one, and begonias and impatiens in this one. And then this is that pretty little pot that I purchased from Ace this morning that I've already shown you. I at first put my beautiful bougainvillea on there, but this pot and the soil I have in it was just too heavy. It took it all the way to the ground, so I had to sturdy it up a bit more and put some slightly smaller pots on my shepherd's hook. I'm pretty sure this little Belga and Calabrichoa are both saying, if you would leave the weather like it is now, not let it get any hotter than this, we would live for you. I wish we could do that. This gardener would be a lot happier in a lot cooler weather too than what we'll end up having, and it'll happen before you know it. But we do have some more chances of rain in the forecast, so right now I'm just going to enjoy what we have while I can. And this is where I put some more little pots of, well, I already had the pots there, but I filled them up with the mosses, both purslane and rose moss. This is another sale find. This beautiful white bacopa. I love the bacopa, and I have about the same luck with it as I do with Calabrichoas and fan flowers and all those pretty little draping down beautiful plants. But since it was on sale, I did not even try to resist it. I just took hold of that as fast as I could and put it in my cart and in this little hanging basket. And on this side of it, I put another tiny little coleus. This is that Colorsaurus coleus. And in this one, I put a little Copper King coleus, and I think it's going to look really pretty with this orange lantana. Hopefully those colors will just play off of each other, and hopefully this little sedum will go ahead and take over this whole pot, so that one day I don't have to put anything else in it. And I'm also hoping that this little fan flower, which looks pretty sick right now, let me see if I can tell, at least you can see the color. I think that beautiful purple will make a wonderful contrast to this if it should live, and I'm hoping it will. And I noticed this morning that my purple bee balm or Monardia is beginning to show signs of bloom. In all likelihood, this is purslane weed. Oh, but I think I'll have to wait till at least one bloom comes on to make sure, because it's just doing so well there. But I'll probably pull all this up and put something else in this little pot. I do not want to really grow purslane weed. look at this. Climbed all the way up this little thing, and he's fixing to take over. But I am not going to allow him to do that.
Is it a snail?
Yes, it is a snail. Today is June the 5th, and I did not get everything planted the other day. I think it was the 3rd, maybe the 2nd. I think it was the 3rd when I was telling you that I was hoping to get it done, and I certainly did not. The heat came, and we actually did get some of our hoses put down, but I still need to make the holes, you know. But I did yesterday and the day before, kept on at it. So this is one of the little pots that I filled up, and this one, even though I probably should have put some little taller plants in here, I wasn't thinking good because I'm thinking straight because they may not pick up enough and be tall enough that you can see them. But I think maybe they will. I'm actually seeing those little blooms from here, so hopefully they'll still be good. And I actually chose this little rose moss because this is just a little short window box, or not tall anyway, window box, and it did need something that won't take a whole lot of water and that will still live when it gets dry until I can water it again, which is most likely going to be every day, but still, in these small of a pots, sometimes even every day is not soon enough. So also the sales are going on now, so I might need to try one more petunia for this little area because that one died, and it was a beauty. But it just had, I don't know if it had been dropped or what, but once I got it home and tried to plant it, it just kind of fell apart off its root. And I did leave the little root in there, but I very much doubt if it will come back out. But these other ones are so pretty. These are not open to where you can tell just how pretty they are, but they have that little light splash on their bright purple. I was just noticing that a little bit of the dianthus, the Sweet William, is still holding its color on. It does last quite a while. And also I planted seeds. I planted seeds everywhere. There are a few that I didn't get, but I plan on planting those too, full of seed. Still have more lilies opening up. You might can tell that I did not get the insecticide put on, but I will do that as soon as possible. I'll probably pick these off and throw them on the ground and smash them. I put one of my little on sale plants right here in this pot to give it a little bit of color. Actually, I'm taking my after church look in the garden, and this is a new little daylily opened for us today. And I put one more little vinca in this pot, or periwinkle. And isn't that coleus doing well there? There's some more of the pretty Sweet William. I also put another little dachandra or dashandra in this pot, and it's began its little trek downward, and it'll fill out and just look beautiful before the season is over, or at least by the end of the season. My little Niobe clematis is winding down a bit too, but it still looks pretty. And I don't think I added anything to these little pots. They just looked pretty good the way they are. Now this one right here, I did put, what did I put in? Oh, this pretty little violet colored periwinkle is what I put in there. And then there's another darker purple one on this side. And I had I think it was a verbena that I had in there, but it didn't make it. And these look wilty now. They may not make it, but these are just little alyssums that I hope will make it there. When they're young, just starting out, it's so hard to imagine what they will look like. Some of them that you think would not do so well will often just fill out and be so gorgeous, whereas sometimes just the reverse happens too. And I thought my little African daisies were gone for the season as far as the bloom, but look at this. We got a little cooler weather with our rains, and it just decided to put on another bloom. And that calabachoa, oh, it's loving it too. I wish we had cooler summers so they could do better than they usually do for me. My little creeping Jenny that I had in this pot died out, so I did replace it, and hoping that it will make it this time. It has a good chance just simply because we got some cooler weather, but I know the heat will come back. I put a little bit of vinca in here just where others had just fizzled out. And I put a couple of white vinca or periwinkle in this little pot because I thought it would look good with this white bacopa hanging down on one side and then a little white mixed in with this container. And this little pot got one of the pentas, which doesn't look like much now, but it could just add to the brightness of this pretty little container garden. Can't remember, did I already show you this, that my castor bean are coming up? And I just went ahead and put some of my white ballerina yarrow over here in this little blank spot. And I think it will fill out and just put me on a lot more, just fill this whole area out. And what makes me think that is because that's exactly what happened over here. And I took a little piece of this and put over in that area that I just showed you. But this is a beautiful little plant when it just fills out and is in bloom. It's not always in bloom, but it has a pretty little green foliage even when it's not. And I actually need to take up a little bit more of that. I may have to give some of this to Alwina. She said she needed some perennials, and that would be a good start for her, I think, too. I have not yet got seed in this. There's several here in the back that I didn't, but I will get around to that as soon as possible. I'm going to take a little bit of today off. I will water this evening. That's the plan anyway. And also, I was thinking that Elwina would probably love some of this. And I know the hummingbirds in her area would. They love this penstemon, especially this red. And daisies. She could also choose to put some daisies in her yard. Also the perennials, they do come back every year, but you also have to trim back the old dead stuff every year. And you have to divide them. This one needs dividing again, and I divided it last season. But lots of times that's just a wonderful way to fill your garden up and put some of your perennials that have outgrown their spot into a spot that's empty, and pretty soon the whole garden is full of beauty. Look at this. A little toad, or a big fat toad, resting this Sunday afternoon. I'm going to try to join him a little bit. because I am tired, but also I am feeling hopeful. I'm feeling good because I know that I'm not done, but I know that I'm getting closer, and it looks like there's a possibility now that I could get it all taken care of enough to where I can just kind of watch it grow, and of course keep it growing by taking care of the insects and the weeds and whatever else happens. 2 of my little blue floss flowers did die. I put in this beautiful, doesn't look like it so much right now, but this is a New Guinea impatient. I don't remember, I think it's violet, pink violet. I think it's going to look gorgeous there. I put a couple of little impatiens in this pot too, and I noticed that this one is doing good, this pretty red begonia, but I noticed that my pink one is not doing well. I think it's practically dead. It's on its way out, so I may have to look one more time and see if I can find a pink one for the front pot where I have the one that's dying. I love these. You can really watch them grow during the summertime. They just love the heat and everything. If you just give them some shade and water, and they're happy. This little begonia is doing well, but my brand new little begonia, I left it out when we had the rain, and I think it just got too much rain. I put it here where I can keep an eye on it better, but we'll have to see if it's going to make it. I'm gonna have to learn how to do begonias or give up on begonias one. This is getting ridiculous, but there I am. Ridiculous me. You can't see it now, but I put a little seed in here called silver sage, and it looks almost like a lamb's ear, and yet it's shorter and fatter. Little leaves, and it's just a gorgeous plant, which it may not come up, but it may. Wouldn't that be beautiful right there in front of those beautiful little Dracaena plants? And that hosta is doing well back behind there too. I actually put one of those little New Guinea impatiens in the back side of this. There was an empty slot for it, like it was just waiting. And when its color comes on, I think it's going to really add to the beauty of this little pot too. I also filled up this little pot with one of the white New Guinea impatiens. And it'll act like a little light, bringing the light right over to the rest of the stuff over here. But I also divided some of these. These are either and, I may have both in there, Siberian and Japanese irises, but I divided some of those and put them over here in this little pot. I thought it was really going to look scraggly, but it doesn't. It looks a little sparse, but I like it there. It's just enough color to make it look healthy. And then above it, of course, I fill this little one out too with trailing vinca or periwinkle. And I think it has a penta too on that one side. And then a couple of more little plants there with it. And as I'm showing you this, I'm noticing that I have a beautiful rose over here. I better get a picture of that. Isn't that pretty? Haven't yet got my vines lifted up either. This is that sweet pea, which I still want to do. And then over here is my autumn clematis that I have going up here. And I probably will go ahead and trim quite a bit of this down, simply because last year it got so humongous big that I had to trim some of it. and it trimmed off some of the bloom, I think. I'm trying to figure out a way to get it where it will all bloom at once so you can see the majestic white blooms. They're not big, but they're so full and beautiful when it all blooms at the same time. I also put one of the periwinkle in this spot, and I think this one is also a cascading one, which will look really pretty there, I think. And then the rest of this, I will probably put some seed in there. And I've been using mostly zinnia seeds. They're easy to start most usually. And they fill out really pretty. And the ones I'm using are the Zahara and the Profusion, which both stay a shorter size, which are perfect for pots. Matter of fact, I probably will put some in this little pot right here too, but I may have to move it because they do need more sun, and this one is getting shaded in this area where I have it, but that would be easy to move, of course. And I did put some seed in these little pots too. They don't look like much now, but you can tell they're already coming up, and that's great. That's a good start. And just right across over here, look at the lilies blooming. Aren't they pretty? And right behind them there, the prairie coneflowers. Beautiful. I even put seeds in this little swan. We'll see how they will do. They certainly came up and have a good start. Anxious for this little bloom to open. And although I haven't yet, I do plan to put some seed in this little pot too. It gets some shade, but I think it gets more sun actually, even though it's right under that little plant stand. It gets sun from all sides, so I'm thinking it probably will do there. We'll find out, hopefully this year. At first glance, you would think I have nothing in this little pot, but then you see all the seed, and one day soon, most likely they will be up and be beautiful plants. I was looking up in this one because I also put a few up there, but I don't see them up yet. But I think I put them in there more recently, so they hopefully will be up within the next week, or maybe a few more days than that, but we'll see. Oh, I see one of my little purslane moss on my little tiny strawberry pot is in bloom. And as I'm looking, I'm realizing that just right here looks like a good spot to put some taller zinnias in. And they will fill up that empty spot and put some beautiful color behind these little angels and in front of this little heart on the little gate planter. So I practically planted seed everywhere except where I'm going to plant seed. Some of these little ones are already coming up, and I planted a few more over on this empty side, which hopefully this will be full of beautiful bloom. And another thing about the zinnias is they draw the butterflies and all the little insects that are pollinators. I even planted seeds in some of these pots that have bulbs. You can see that some of the bulbs are coming up here. My seed I just planted yesterday in these pots, so they're not up yet, but they should come up, and these will no longer be half filled, but they will be full. And I even did put some, oh look also how my planaria is opening its leaves up, and then I put some little zinnia seeds around it. I think they're the Profusion zinnias. I'm not sure. I kind of got wild, and some of them I had them mixed together anyway, but Profusion and Zahara. And the little Profusion are small, but they're mighty. They fill out so beautifully. And then the Zaharas, there's nothing small about them except they're not very tall. They fit wonderfully in a container, and they're also as big as if they were on a tall zinnia. They're just beautiful. See, I'm showing you this empty pot. You have to imagine some things when you garden. Everything's not there all at once. Look at this beautiful bacopa this morning. All these beautiful blue blooms. So all the little pots that I tried to save through the winter that died, look, I have one little lone hibiscus that made it. And I don't know if it'll make it the rest of the way, but we've got these filled up now with zinnia seeds, and I'll get out here and water these today so that they'll continue on in their process of sprouting and hopefully become great beauties. Look at this. This is a double petunia there. That's why I get excited about double petunias. Some of them just burst forth so beautifully. That little verbena is looking good too. This little calabachoa is looking bright and pretty today. This little pot I still want to redo because my Wandering Jew is not looking very healthy. I need to put some fresh soil in here and give it some food and put them back in there, and hopefully they will do better. This is where I found that snail that I put on here. First, my husband and I both were talking on it while I was trying to record it, but I'll probably put it on there. It's probably already on there when you see this. So, but hopefully I got it before it got in there to kill anything. Little hostas are doing well, and there are several pots up this little particular part of my garden that need to be replenished with hostas, even though some of them did really well. Others, because they were small and tender, the snails took them out. So this pot is empty. This pot, it's not empty. I see a little bit of one poking up, so that may do well. I'm not sure about this pot, but there are several pots there in the back that the hostas have died out of or been eaten out of. But anyway, look at this pretty begonia, and I would love to have a pretty hosta there in the back of it. And this little area I'm not happy with at all. These are going to have to be taken and put under the weeping willow. They're not going to make it here. It gets too hot on them here. And then this little, behind it, this little window box, it's not tall enough for that area. I'm going to redo that at some point. I'm not sure when. And this is another little group of empty pots that were empty, but now they hold a seed, which will hopefully someday hold beautiful flowers. And then last but not least is my seed box. I did go ahead and put a few more seeds in here, although some of them are coming up right down the middle. It just didn't seem to have anything coming up in it, so I put a few more there, and hopefully they will make it. Also, I realized that the little plants I had here I thought might possibly be poppies were not. They were just a weed. So I pulled all those up and sprinkled in a few seeds down here on this pot.
Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.